One of the main things that Trump got elected on was transparency. And one of the main points of transparency was Epstein. Now, the right has been frothing at the mouth about Epstein for years, like Pizzagate, all that shit. Now, all of a sudden, that Trump's president and he's implicated in the files millions of times. Now, all of a sudden, they don't care about the Epstein files. MAGA has no backbone. They don't stand for anything. I don't even know what they are anymore. So now I got to go to guys like Nick Fuentes to see what the hell's going on the right, because there's a portion of the right that has their head in the sand and they're living in a different reality. Now, Nick Fuentes, I don't support this guy. Most of the things he says I don't agree with. He's racist, he's a bigot, he's all the things. But when it comes to MAGA, this guy's cooking. And he's right, and he's calling balls and strikes. And I hate that I have to go to Nick Fuentes to get the truth from the right. But that's just where we're at right now. So, Nick, take it away, buddy.
One thing is absolutely unambiguous. Some of these emails are very suggestive, but vague. And some of them are eyebrow raising and suspicious, but they're not necessarily a smoking gun. And I think that's why we need full transparency. They need to be unredacted. We need the rest of the files. Putting that aside for just a second, here's something that we know.
He's right. We need all the files. Just releasing what you've released is it's not what we need. We need all the files. This partial release crap is just another game that MAGA's playing.
Absolutely. And this is something that people are forgetting. It's something people are overlooking. What the Trump administration said specifically about the files last year is that there were no files. Remember? This Attorney General, Pam Bondi, at the Department of Justice, she authorized a memo. She signed.
Hey, conservatives out there, you guys remember that when they said there's no files and now there's a whole bunch of files that they released redacted? You guys don't remember that.
Signed off on a memo that said there are no Epstein files. That was the official declaration of the Department of Justice. They said the files do not exist. The White House put out a press release that said the files do not exist. Not only is that a lie, and it is, there are actually 6 million files, okay? So they lied. They said the files don't exist, and actually what they said is the only thing that we have in our possession is child sexual abuse material. They said we don't have documents, we don't have emails, we don't have...
They did say something similar to that. They said we can't release anything because all we have is child porn. Why do you have a bunch of child porn, and where'd you get it from, and who made it, and who's in it? Details. Let's go.
Anything. They said you've seen it all.
That was a lie, though. I don't even know what they mean by that.
Everything that we have, you've got. They said all that we have left is sexual abuse material that we cannot release because it hurts the victims. Remember? So the files do exist, and they lied. Then they came up with another lie to cover it up, and they said, well, we can't release what is remaining because it's all just going to hurt the victims. Remember that?
Fast forward to a few weeks ago, and they released a bunch of pictures and information about the victims. So it was never about the victims.
Said it would be irresponsible to release what is remaining because that would only compromise the victims' privacy or safety. So that's actually an active cover-up. That's not like they were misinformed. They didn't exaggerate. That's not a false promise. The Trump administration engaged in an active deception and a cover-up. They also...
So when we talk about Epstein, especially with conservatives, they're like, where's the crime at? You can't prove anything. Just the cover-up is a crime. And I don't know how we, convict the last administration or the administration before that of a cover-up, but we can't convict this administration right now that is currently covering up. Like, yeah, the past administrations messed up too, but right now there's one that's actively committing the crime right now. So let's deal with that. Let's deal with that. Let's deal with the people committing the crimes right now that we could catch and we have evidence of.
So sad. There are no people that we need to investigate. They said there's no black book. There's nobody else that we're interested in. They said there are no other persons of interest or suspects. And yet...
I've shared all of that on this channel. There's dozens of men that have been redacted that should not have been redacted, which is against the law.
Inside their own files, which they said didn't exist, they say that there are people, and this is their terminology, that are likely incriminated. So how are you not interested in any further investigation? There are no other persons of interest. The case is closed, and yet there are 6 people.
I would love to hear about that investigation. Like the people that may likely have been involved, did you investigate them? Are you investigating them? Because if you are investigating them, you can say that. You know, it's not because it's an investigation. You can't say anything at all. That's stupid. That's one of the arguments on the right is they're being investigated, so we can't talk about it. Prove it. Prove that they're being investigated, because I don't think they are.
People that we know of, we don't even know their names because.
And I don't think they're being investigated because of how cagey the government has been with these files. You guys have been acting weird about it. So that's why we're like, honestly, I thought Epstein was all a bunch of bullshit, but now you guys are acting so weird about it. Now it's like pretty obvious that you guys are hiding something.
They're redacted, but the DOJ acknowledges there are 6 people that we know of that are likely incriminated. So they lied about that too, and they closed the case anyway. So Pam Bondi needs to be impeached. You do realize that.
Word.
I think this fits the bill for high crimes and misdemeanors.
She's a criminal. She needs to go to prison. Well, actually, she's like a Israeli dual citizen. Maybe we could just deport her. That's cheaper than prison, right?
You lied about the existence of the files. You lied about unindicted collaborators and accomplices. There are people that you acknowledge exist who are likely incriminated in the files that you said did not exist. You lied in the furtherance of a cover-up. Pam Bondi has to be impeached. Kash Patel has to be impeached. These people have to go. They cannot keep their jobs. How could we trust that Pam Bondi's DOJ, which covered up the files for a year and a half, is now going to faithfully follow the Epstein Transparency Act and release all the files? How can the public have any confidence in this, that there's any propriety here? Furthermore, how can the public have any confidence that Pam Bondi and this Department of Justice will actually investigate the people that are involved and bring them to justice if, again, they close the case knowing these people were likely incriminated? You can't trust them to follow through. You can't trust them to investigate. You can't trust them to find the information. And I would take it a step further. How can you even trust President Trump? He hired most of these people. Ronald Lauder is...
That's the main point right there that is not being discussed enough by the right. The right has no problem talking shit about figures on the right, like that are not Donald Trump. They have no problem saying they don't like Bondi. They have no problem saying they don't like Patel. They have no problem saying they don't like no. But when it comes to Donald Trump, the Epstein files wasn't a botch. Pam Bondi botched it, bro. Donald Trump hired her. He was stoked to hire her, and she's not doing anything on her own. She's doing what Donald Trump is telling her to do. So if you're going to be mad at anybody, it shouldn't be Bondi. It should be Trump. She's doing what her boss is telling her to do. So just throwing shade at Bondi and not Trump is one of the reasons why I get so frustrated with MAGA and Trump supporters, is that you guys are not living in the same reality. You're not calling balls and strikes. No matter what Trump man does, it's not his fault. It's someone else's fault. Always deflecting blame. That is what MAGA does. It's
named in
disgusting.
the files 961 times. His son-in-law is nominated to chair the Federal Reserve. Leon Black is named in the files dozens of times. He was one of Epstein's biggest benefactors by far. His son is the head of the Development Finance Corporation in the Trump government. Howard Lutnick is named in the files dozens of times.
More of the story, everyone that Trump is in connection with is implicated in the Epstein files. They're all guilty, every single one of them. Picture the circular firing line. Everyone's in a circle. Everyone has a gun to the person next to them. The first person shoots, they all dead. They all shoot. That's how I envision this going down. Eventually, there's going to be just this lid. Right now, it's like a leak in the lid. Pretty soon, the lid's just going to fly off, and the world will not be the same. Is kind of how I'm seeing it.
He talked to Epstein after he was convicted, lied about this, and he is Trump's Commerce Secretary and also on the Development Finance Corporation. So how are any of these people?
Didn't Lutnick bring his family to Epstein Island after Epstein got in trouble for all the child trafficking stuff? Pretty sure he did. Pretty sure that guy works for Trump right now and is still employed, and we're paying his salary. That's pretty gross.
Is this Trump administration going to hold them accountable? How is that going to work? How can the public have confidence that he will do that? You can't. This Epstein scandal, this is like bigger than Watergate. It really is.
Wow. Bigger
in
than
terms
Watergate.
of its significance, in terms of the actual crime that was committed, This is like a Watergate level scandal that, mark my words, it's going to bring down the Trump government. It just is. This sank the Trump government in 2025. If there was any momentum, if there was any forward momentum in the first year of the administration, that memo alone ground it to a halt. And now that we've gotten the files, this is something they're just not going to recover from. This is a mortal wound.
I got to tell you, I agree with Fuentes right there. I don't know how the Trump administration is going to recover from the Epstein files. There is a portion of MAGA in the country that doesn't care about the Epstein files, even though they were totally frothing at the mouth about it 2 years ago, a year ago, and now they say they don't care. But there's just a portion of this country that sees it for what it is, and the Epstein files is a problem for this administration. It's a problem for Trump because he's implicated in it, and it sure looks like he is guilty as hell for at least some part in the whole Epstein thing. I don't know if it was he was having sex with children, if he was trafficking, or murder, even worse, murder. But either way, Trump is named in this more than any other individual person. His name might be in there more than Epstein himself. That's how implicated Trump is in the Epstein files. So conservatives, wake the hell up, man. And not even just conservatives, MAGA conservatives. You guys got to stop defending Trump no matter what. This guy's fucking up. And he's either a pedophile or he's protecting pedophiles, and you guys are going along for the ride with it. And this Pam Bondi shit, dude, you guys, our money's paying for that woman to have a job right now. And she makes good money too. That's what's crazy. I work my ass off and I have integrity. I don't make half of what she makes. Absolutely ridiculous. So Fuentes is cooking right there. Don't always look to Fuentes for your moral compass, but when it comes to MAGA, this guy, he does know what he's talking about, and he is calling balls and strikes. So thank you, Nick. So that's it for today. Gotta get going on some stuff. Help a brother out, like, share, subscribe, and I'll keep the content coming. Have a good one, guys.